Okay. Thank you. Okay. Folks, at 6 o'clock, I'll call the meeting to order and welcome any and all visitors and welcome any comments that may be on your mind and you would like to express such, as long as they are not related to any of our agenda items. None being seen, Scott, because there's.
You start recording here?
What are you doing?
I have a couple of changes for you. You'll notice under action items.
What'd you do?
I don't know. Doesn't seem to be working.
Mine was on, but now it's.
You should just press it a little bit, not a lot.
Or some of the batteries out, so now you can't see that batteries are out, so hang on.
Mine's out too.
Okay.
We have a pause in the action.
Everybody calm down.
That was part of the bear joke.
Everybody else on?
Yeah, these guys are okay.
Tom's on?
No, I'm off.
I saw a bear today at the end. A little cub. All of a sudden it's a cub, not us.
There's something else not
Do
too
you have a
far
battery light? So pay attention to it,
Captain.
please, and thank you.
So have you. Huh?
She did.
Well, just in general,
I did
have a battery
see
light on these. so
somebody
you can-
published a picture of a bear today with 5 cubs. Now, I'm not sure it was around here, but I don't think I've ever seen one with 5 cubs.
She was busy.
Well, that's.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll raise my hand next time, okay? All right, so we're going to call the meeting to order now that we have the microphones all corrected. Looking for public comment, and now you see there's no one here to make a comment. And we'll go right to changes to the agenda, Scott.
You'll notice under action items, we added an approval of the FY25 grants and aid support work request. And that is housekeeping, and to accept $6,500 in grant funds for the rec swim program. Under other business, we added a review and possible approval of the dog bite hearing decision. So.
Okay, I may have you read that change when we get to the, but anyway, I'm sorry. Approve the minutes of April 1st, 2025. Do we have a motion?
Minutes of April 21st.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second it.
Motion to second.
Charlie has to abstain.
Charlie abstained.
Charlie abstained. Motion.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the minutes of April 1st, 2025. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Charlie will abstain.
I got scolded twice today.
Okay. Scott, action items.
The select board to possibly rescind the 2007 contracts and grants policy. You remember that you had a purchasing policy the last time, and the purchasing policy replaces the contracts and grants policy from 2007.
Okay, so we're just replacing one with the other,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay. Somebody like to make a motion?
Move to rescind the 2007 contracts and grants policy.
We have a second.
I'll second it.
No, we have a motion a second to rescind the 2007 contracts and grants policy. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Scott?
The select board to possibly approve the fiscal year 26 grants and aid letter of intent. This allows us.
This just tells them that we intend to do the grants and aid program for fiscal 26.
Okay.
Means grants.
Money.
Money.
All right. Okay.
And yes, we need a motion.
All right. Anyone else have any questions on that?
Motion we approve the fiscal year 26 grants and aid letter of intent.
All right. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Motion to second to approve the fiscal year 26 grants and aid letter of intent. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Terrific. Scott?
Next item, you remember the last time we asked, we were doing a reconstruction and there was no one for tree warden. So this is the select board to possibly appoint Marshall Dix as the tree warden.
I have a question.
Is he okay with that, Scott?
Yes.
Is this normally an elected position?
No, it's appointed. We normally do it when you reconstruct everything.
Okay. Do you need a motion?
Yeah.
Please.
Make a motion to appoint Marshall Dix as tree warden.
Okay, we have a second.
Second.
Motion and a second to appoint Marshall Dix as the tree warden. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
The select board to possibly approve the FY 25 grants and aid support work request.
So we are doing the fiscal 25 grants and aid, so this is just letting Wyndham Regional know we would like their assistance. They go around with Marshall, they pinpoint the projects they could do, they help take pictures and any pre-assessment work that needs to be done for the grant. But we have to request the assistance so that they can schedule it.
Okay. Would like to make a motion?
Select board to possibly approve FY 25 grants and aid support work request.
That's okay. How about a second? Second. All right, we have motion and a second to approve the fiscal year 25 grants and aid support work request. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Scott?
I need Tom's signature on that. Next item is the select board to possibly accept $6,500 in grant funds awarded for the recreation swim program. This is a new program that they are going to add. The recreation commission will add this summer. We just had Jess and I had a conversation with them about their plans, and they have been very busy asking for and receiving grants from the Rotary, Ben and Jerry's, and another group called Step Into Swim.
Nice.
Move to accept $6,500 in grant funds awarded for the rec swim program.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to accept $6,500 in grant funds for award to the recreation swim program. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Let me just say, Sarah Molina and Sam Kondracki, when we were talking with them today, said the swim program would be a number of classes that would last about 45 to 50 minutes. They would be offered at Brookbound and Lake Raponda, and Saturdays 9 to 11, and then Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays 9 to 2. So the classes would each last probably about 50 minutes. In the process, they have identified some, and they're in the process of identifying both lifeguard and instructors. And the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday will be 3 weeks, and basically will end before school starts. Last year, when they did a survey, they had 80 responses, 80 responses of people who said that they would like to see the swim program come back. So it should be, they'll be looking for Red Cross certifications, and anybody that would be interested could contact town offices and talk with Jess Archibald. And the idea would be 1 lifeguard and 1 instructor to 8 students. That's what their goal is.
Tony, want to be a lifeguard?
I was a lifeguard. I was the last lifeguard at the swimming pool at Mount Snow, as a matter of fact, the outdoor pool.
Yeah.
Yep. Then they filled it in when Killington bought it. I gave up my lifeguard career.
I used to be a lifeguard up at the laundromat.
I should have
Well,
told
that.
my fault. Yeah. I apologize.
The swim program used to be gigantic in this community. It really was. And the Red Cross was here running the whole show, did a great job at it. And I think every kid in town, I think, took swimming classes. I'm serious.
Yep.
And I was talking with some folks here last year. They couldn't find anybody to do swimming. It was tough trying to find the lessons. But anyway, all right.
Sewer
We want to make the motion or no? No?
Commission?
Yeah, we're on the sewer.
No. We have one more.
What? Where?
The fiscal year 25, what was that?
You already did that.
We did that one.
We did that. Okay. All right. I move that we go to the sewer commission.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
John, how are you?
Thanks. Yourself?
Better for your asking, thank you.
This one is a little unique, like I bring to you once in a while. This is a part of the East Main 1 sewer sidewalk project. As you know, the only building in town in the village that's not connected to town sewer is the funeral So
How did that ever happen?
there's no viable place for them to connect.
Oh.
That's why they were never forced to connect, because we didn't have a line. We never provided them a good connection. So we're trying to correct all that by fixing that sewer line and making it so they can connect. So they need, because they are technically a new connection, they need a water and wastewater permit. To get a water and wastewater permit, they need allocation approval from the town. So we've got an application, you guys have seen it. Scott and I talked, actually, it was over a year ago, we talked about this. We need them to go through the allocation process, but the only fee was just the $43 application fee. We're not charging for gallonage for them. Because if we'd had a line available for them back then, they would have connected without any application fees. So I need a motion to accept 295 gallons for the fuel home.
That's a question.
You sure can.
What have they been using for the last?
They have a septic system. They have a septic tank.
Why is it in their best interest to join ours?
Well, to get rid of the septic system,
Okay.
it's a very old failing, it's,
There you go.
luckily, they don't use hardly any water there.
I'm sure
They
they don't.
don't, Cy used to joke that the septic tank is right near the main entrance. That he said it was an old steel tank that someday somebody will probably
Step into.
step into.
All right, thank you.
Well, people are dying to get in there.
Wow.
I've been trying to figure out how I can make it work. Good job.
Filler
I'm gonna leave
comments.
that one alone.
So you need a motion,
I need a motion for 295 gallons.
All right, hey, would somebody like to make a motion?
make a motion for 295 gallons for an assembly hall with 50 seats and 3 employees at Covey and Allen, 44 East Main
All
Street.
right, at 44, that is, yeah, you used Kobe and Allen, that's good. All right, second? All right, motion is second to approve a preliminary allocation request for 44 East Main Street at 295 gallons per day for an assembly hall with 50 seats and 3 employees. The property is better known as Covey and Allen. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, John.
Thanks for coming by.
Want a signature on that?
Oh, what was down here?
Or the stickers.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
If that building's ever sold, would it come back online as 5 feet?
They would have to increase allocation.
It would be angled.
Yeah, just like everyone else, yeah.
I'm not sure how many people would like to convert that into a home.
Well, wasn't it home once?
Yeah,
Wasn't it a real one?
Mark had mentioned it before he got out of the business of doing something.
Well, Mrs. Colby used to live right next door.
Yeah.
Way back in the day. I remember her.
Yeah.
So the Colbys didn't own that or live in that house at one time?
Well, before them, wasn't it a real house?
They'd have a good pizza oven.
Jesus.
So they do now, but yeah.
Okay,
Just burns it. I mean, it just burns it.
here.
you guys are burning me up.
Sure
with
they
your
do
jokes.
that work.
Yeah, I don't know if they do it there.
All right.
and we are out of sewer commission,
I have sewer commission and now we're talking about the roof.
Thank you, John.
talking about the roof. Yes,
Excuse me. His battery is blinking.
Yep.
Does that mean something?
Taking a left-hand turn.
I want to get the sticker for that one.
gonna start carrying gold
Jesus
stars
Christ.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby. Brown nose. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Is that one working? The thing is, this had 3 bars of power
Yep,
before.
a second ago.
First time we've changed the battery since we picked it up, so.
Do you buy rechargeable batteries or is it, no?
These are not rechargeable currently.
Just curious.
The Duracell.
All right. I'm sorry, Scott.
So the select board have possibly approved a quote for roof repairs to town hall. The total amount of the repairs is $23,750. This is a quote that we received. You'll notice that there's 2 pages. One page is for $5,250 to read. So this is for the overhang out in front of the clerk's office, basically. It covers the front 2 doors.
Right.
And you remember when we went to replace the dripping rain gutters, replaced one part of it, and then the other part, when they took it off, they realized that there was a lot of damage underneath. They said they could put it back on, put another one on there, but we elected to have it inspected further. So Ray Reed, under his company name of Walker Industries, sent someone out, and they gave us an initial price of the rubber membrane and the insulation and that sort of thing. And then Jess recognized that we didn't get an estimate for, or quote for the side, on the far side, where it's basically an exit from this floor on the back. And that roof was coming apart. And we're afraid that that's going to fall. And so in addition to that, he gave us that quote, and then a quote for the wood, the structure, and what we'd like to do is, since if we're going to be up there replacing all of that, we'd like to put a railing in that would match one of the old pictures that you see there.
That'd be nice.
It's basically would match,
Similar to across the way.
dare I say, across the street. But at any rate, you can see
In
what,
better shape.
you can see
Oh,
what the
yeah.
intent is, and perhaps even later on, but not, we don't have the money now. But later on, maybe we actually put some kind of a sign that looks similar to the one that's there in the picture. At any rate, Christine asked us to reach out to a couple of other contractors. Remember, Ray Reed is the same contractor we've had for public safety facility, same contractor that we've had for the old firehouse, and he's done work here in emergencies. This is an emergent problem, but we did just reached out to 2 other contractors who said that they would not quote the job, so they didn't need or want to work. So this is the one that we have, and they've been pretty good at getting in and getting these things done. I hate to see anything happen where it falls down or anything else like that. So that's why we went with quotes. And this will take up all the money we have, and there's more damage than it'll be additional money, is what he's saying on the rot, any rot repair that they find.
Right, so
underneath it.
he didn't give us an actual number on rot repair, because until he takes the whole roof off, he won't know. So that's, as you
I
can see,
saw
it's
the
just
rate. The
labor
rate's
and
pretty staggering
materials.
too, isn't it?
And some of them are up to amount, so they may
I'm-
not cost that full amount.
I'm not so sure that is, but I'm not so sure, Tom, anymore.
The foreman's rate is $72 an hour, and a labor is 65.
Yeah, but
Materials plus 15%.
I've seen higher.
When an electrician comes, their rate is more than $120 an hour.
Oh, I know.
So
It's,
for
They
a
got a lot of
manual labor
schooling.
contractor to be
Well,
72,
they got a lot of schooling to go through. What else
Yeah.
to jump through?
it's definitely,
Yeah, you're right.
you know,
It's high.
it's about all the money. I forget exactly what the balance is, but it's pretty
All right.
close to all the money we have in the capital fund, so.
So would somebody like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the quote for roof repairs to town hall. What's the total amount of,
I wouldn't do an amount because we don't have a total. We don't have the number for rot repair.
So just
I would
approve
just
the
do-
work.
I would just do the
But
quote
you-
from Walker.
You
Whatever
can
the
approve
name
the
is.
quote plus with the understanding that there may be
Okay.
additional repairs.
based on the quote of 23,750, with extra for needed repairs from there.
Okay,
All right, do we have a second?
second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the estimate from Walker Industries concerning the roof replacement roof repair on both areas. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
Liquor Commission. would you like
Okay,
to-
I move that we go into the liquor commission.
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Scott, these are gonna have to be done separately.
I don't think so.
Charlie just threw me a
Oh, yes, I'm
curveball.
The
sorry.
last one has
I'll
to be
leave the last
done.
one out. Yes, you're right. A first and third class and outside consumption renewal for Vermont Golf doing business as the Stack. A first and third class renewal for Cask and Kiln Kitchen. And an outside consumption renewal for Valley Craft Ales.
What is?
Is there something ever gonna happen with Caston?
Right.
I
No
don't,
idea.
she just keeps renewing this.
Yep.
But it's not transferable, so like.
Yeah, oh,
Right, and I don't know why she renews it,
Yeah.
because they're not transferable.
I
wonder
wish-
I don't
does she
if
know
it's-
that?
Oh, yeah,
Beats me.
you should, she's been in the business.
Maybe she's.
Well, maybe she's thinking that it's a perk of the thing. I mean,
I don't know.
even though it's not transferable, at least it's
A
little-
licensed business.
a little
Wonder if she-
possibility.
Maybe she's doing catering events outside of town, like. in the
She
rest of
doesn't even
Vermont.
live in town anymore.
no, she lives in Maryland.
Maryland or Connecticut or something.
Does
Same
she own
She's
this
not even
place
here.
or her ex?
He owns part. Well, I'm gonna say he owns part of it, yes.
Well, that's why
Vince Gubin, yes.
that's why the amount is so high in there. Of course, they've sunk a million whatever into there anyway.
No idea.
Well, anyway, move to approve as written in red.
I just don't know why you renew it, something that you're not gonna use.
Second.
Yeah, that doesn't make any
Oh,
sense.
all right. Right, so we'll do one motion for the first three, and the fourth one we'll do separately because it involves Charlie, all right?
You have a motion in a second?
All right, do we have a motion?
Yep, we already did that.
Oh, you so moved, okay, and we have a second,
Second.
all right, to approve the first three that are listed here, third class outside consumption renewal for Vermont Golf doing business as the Stack, a first and third class renewal of Cask and Kiln Kitchen, and an outside consumption renewal for Valley Ales. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, the last one, Scott.
A request to cater at Brookbound Inn on May 14th, 2025, from 4 to 9:30 PM, catered by W.I. Foster.
Motion to approve.
Is this your trailer?
Second.
It is, yep.
Yes, okay,
It's a catering, a wedding planners and that. Okay.
okay. All right,
And yes, Matt has already seen it.
oh, good, okay. Somebody like to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve the Brookbound Inn. catering
Second.
by the
Great
Brookbound Foster.
investigator.
We good?
Yep,
And Vincent seconded it.
second, then second.
So it'd be time to vote.
Yeah.
All right.
I just swallowed a football. Okay. I'll move the request to cater at Brookbound Inn on May 14th, 2025, from 4 to 9:30 PM, catered by W.I. Foster. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
And one abstention.
Heartbeat away.
I know. I don't want to steal his thunder.
Under other business, you have in front of you the result of your hearing for the dog bite. So this is the select board to possibly approve the dog bite hearing decision. Do you want me to read any part of it?
me.
So the check mark chain tethered or leashed when outside or unaccompanied, this shall remain in effect for the duration of the ownership of said animal. That will be sufficient?
Correct. What we're saying is, you gotta reach it up,
Okay,
okay? I mean, if this was,
For the first time.
well, this isn't our first time.
Well, first,
I'm still in a state of shock that they were cited because a guy could look at his camera from whatever state he was from and see a dog pooping on his lawn and they got cited. But that's, to me, is just extreme. But the last time he was running loose, I guess, at that point, chasing deer, whatever it was. And all we're saying, we're just reinforcing our leash law. That's all
okay,
we're
I'm
doing.
good with it. You need a motion?
This
Yeah.
is a slap on the wrist, that's all this is.
I make a motion that the select board supports the decision and the protective order will include chain tethered or leashed when outside or unaccompanied. This shall remain in effect for the duration of the ownership of said animal.
All right, we have a second.
second.
All right, motion of the second to approve the domestic pet bite hearing decision. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Vince.
Scott, I signed this one. Do you want this one?
No, I'm gonna have you sign this one.
Oh, Jesus Christ, yeah, okay, all right. Oh, it's all different.
No, that's the back page. You can have his other.
We have to double check with the. We have to double check the sequence. and
So
we'll get to it.
if there is another incident.
It's not in the, that's,
where
It
we
doesn't
go
get
from there
reported.
if there's
We
another
would
incident?
have, we
it
would
goes
have
to
another hearing.
the two
Okay,
people
yeah,
and the police
and,
department. It's not something that gets reported.
There's no recording of this.
We can find them, we can do it. I mean, you can go as
Not
far
that I
as
saw.
even destroying the animal, which I have no,
We will
I
double
have no
check.
intention of doing, while I'm sitting there.
Right
but,
now, so
This was a freak thing, and I won't do it. All right. Oh, select board comments. Tony, you want to start?
Yeah, I think when we get to the select board comments, we should start from the south end of the table, please.
We're going from the north to the south because it rolls downhill. That's what we're doing, okay?
That was my comment.
nothing unless you want to talk about Memorial Hall.
Oh, that was on my list. So we can
Well,
share
let's
that
talk
out.
about it.
Okay,
Is it kind of like it fits in more over to Beaver Street than anywhere else these days? Is that what it is?
kind of. There is a tremendous amount of work, as we all know, but it's going to be very expensive to do it all.
What's this?
For Memorial Hall.
Okay, thank you.
You know, the siding on this side facing east is pretty well shot. There are places where it has obviously been insulated, but where it was insulated, where it was entered into the building, those spots, a lot of them are becoming brittle, detached, falling off, exposed to the elements. There's a number of ground level windows that are covered up, rotting. Just unnecessary. They ought to be removed.
I
Stoned up or
I
whatever.
cannot remove them. I've already checked. I have to repair them.
Because it's Memorial Hall.
Historical, that's historical.
So we have
Oh, historical.
we-
one time.
part of the municipal energy program, the MERP program. We had to look at ADA. We had, and I also have a window consultant coming for historic preservation because they required us to see what we have to do. But by and large, I can't actually remove any of the windows. I have to repair them.
Well, that's disappointing. I understand, but it's disappointing considering the condition of the window, the placement of the windows. If you remove them or block them up, you would save some energy there. You would hopefully prevent
There's two in-
access to
there's-
the.
I think there's
to
like
the
two in the
water.
back that I asked specifically because it wasn't, you can't observe it from the front of the building or the side of the building. So it's in the back, and I asked specifically if I could, when we go and replace the siding, whether or not I could just side the whole thing. They told me no.
Okay, because there's two windows in the bottom, in the front door that are, one of them, there's dirt and soil right up against the windowsill, which is wood, which is gonna rot. You saw that. There's several on the west side that are broken.
Yep.
It's,
I have a window consultant coming.
I know, I hear it, but I mean, that's just a scratch in the surface.
Yeah, well, that's
You know?
not including interiors, the
Exactly.
bottom door.
Exactly.
You know,
The
all
heating
the
system, I
lighting,
know people
heating.
love the, the propane hair heat and all that, but I think it's worthless. Yes, it's quick, but it doesn't stay. It doesn't linger long enough to be effective.
I don't think you have much insulation in the place, though.
No, they insulate.
It's been insulated.
Is it?
We thought that
I
too,
never-
until
I
we
never-
saw where they blew the insulation into the outside exterior walls.
Okay.
But on the inside, all
Yeah,
that
and the
plaster.
roof was insulated not that long ago.
Yeah, and the inside of it, the plaster is cracking in multiple locations. Well, that's, expansion and contraction, as well as probably the building somewhat settling. And, that ought to be torn out of there. The lighting system in there, and I'm not talking all the stage action lighting, but all the normal ambient lights. Those are all shot, or getting to that point. And I mean, there's a tremendous amount of work and money that's going to be
Yeah.
required to put into this thing.
Well, Scott had already received an estimate to do the siding. It was $300,000 just for the siding.
2
Well,
years
that's to
ago.
put on cedar shingles, correct?
2 years
So,
ago.
there is stuff that there is faux cedar shingles, which would last a lot longer, probably cost more.
I'm not sure that I can do that, but I will ask my consultant.
It looks just like cedar shingles, except it's not
Yeah,
cedar.
my guess is it has to go back to the original.
Okay.
That's what I thought, especially because of the size of the building and where it is, but
Well, then, when it gets replaced, it's got to be treated more than once a century.
I'm not sure. That's the other question I have to ask is, do we treat the cedar, which my guess is no.
we don't currently, but you
Not
can.
initially, because it has to become, whatever's in there has to be dried out a little bit. Then you can treat it after that. That's normal.
No, I have.
Whether
to
it's
ask.
historical,
That's right,
that's different.
yes. Yeah, I have to ask.
And another thing, and this is just a thought, but with the roof needing repairs, we're going to replace it, right?
No, we're doing annual inspections on them and replacing and repairing as we go, because that was the recommendation from Stevens. Since he owns a lot of older buildings, he said it's way too costly to try to replace it.
Okay.
So it's an annual inspection, and our annual inspectors want us to call them twice a year, but we opt to call them in the spring or summer.
Okay,
On the same side of, sorry, you have more?
there is, but go for it.
On the same side.
I'm
of
butting
Memorial-
my head up against this historical thing too much.
It's a big building, and and the cost will be significant, and then once you do it, you might be good for another 20 years or so.
Maybe.
We're extremely blessed.
So remember, I anticipate that whatever we do to the building based on the MERP grant will be in the vicinity of 100,000. I also have another 100,000, a little more than that, for the flood proofing. So there's, let's just say it's 225,000 for argument's sake. In addition to that, yes, there will be 300 or 350,000 just for the facade, but that doesn't take into account, like you're saying, any rot and replacement of woodwork and things like that. I like to think that we're in the vicinity of 500,000, and someone else in the finance office thinks it's closer to 1 million.
That's what I said.
that's what
I would say
say.
a million.
I would say it's only because how many times has that building been underwater?
Right.
Think about that. I mean, it's
So yes, I mean,
run its course.
but unless we get a grant, it won't be all at once. It can't be.
And was it, Therese, was it you that said that the deed has it that the folks who built Crafts Inn would take it back if the town no longer wanted? Was it you? No?
I don't think that's.
Somebody was in here that talked about that.
Sam was in here talking about the deed, but that's not what it says. I think what it specifically said that the town had to maintain the pictures on the walls, and we have to,
As a memorial.
if asked, hold one funeral service a year. So we can't deny a funeral service, basically, if it's asked.
Memorial.
Memorial service,
Which
and we
is-
do Memorial Day.
Yeah, which we do.
And
But should we not want to retain ownership, I guess?
I would get a legal
Where it
opinion.
would revert to? Would it revert?
I would get a
I
legal
did
opinion.
not read anything in the deed that suggested, there was any first right of refusal.
I thought the child's family had something. I don't, that's,
it's very hard to read the deed. I have a photocopy. It's very hard. It's handwritten and,
Oh, wait, Butterfield's handwriting.
yeah,
You have to-
you can
Decode
zoom
it.
in and hope to read it.
That's
So
getting,
it's-
and that's getting to be a lost art.
It's
Yeah.
very, very difficult to read.
that's how you block things. from
And I got
kids
it right
when you
on
write
the
in
portal,
cursive, They
so
don't have a clue.
it's as good quality as you're gonna find, and
The most specific is no games of chance, no boxing, no.
Right, yeah.
Fights, no gambling.
yeah,
Really?
yep, that's written right in there.
That's in the deed.
It's one page,
So-
Probably ought to be translated.
On the same side, I think it's very confusing that the town owns the property and Jessica manages who gets to use it. But then there's a non-town committee that also finds people to rent it, or mostly just talks about it.
well, no, they rent it for groups, so the Friends of Memorial Hall rent the space, and they're liable for anything that happens. They hold the insurance, they get the catering licenses, they rent it to bring groups in. They don't find groups to come in necessarily. They are renting it for individual, whatever they want to see in there.
And
But they are 100% liable for what goes on when they're in there as well.
I think it'd be good if we can add memorial to an agenda in the future. This is just Spitfire, but I know there's been talk about it in the past, but going to bid to find someone to manage Memorial Hall, to increase the bookings, to,
Well, that's exactly what's gonna have to happen. If we have a full-time person or persons operating that building to get the full potential out of it, they're gonna have to get the full potential out of it so that they're, or at the very least, they can pay for their salaries and any maintenance and the utilities at the very least.
I just meant someone from I understand what you're saying from the maintenance side. I'm just saying more of someone as a facilitator to get more groups using the space.
Sure,
It
it's not
says
town
empty
clerk.
way too long, and I don't think there's anyone that knows Jessica and I were talking about, I don't know, when was the last time we had a wedding in there?
It's been, I think, 2 years.
You know? I don't
Because
think
no
there's
one
many
pushes it.
people, right?
Right, but I know, I think what Vince is saying is if the town hires someone, they have to bring in enough to pay for their position, otherwise it's just another loss on the town
It's
side.
another drain. and
Yeah,
it's
no, I
another-
That's
yeah,
the,
yeah.
I think that's the point he's making.
Yeah,
If
no,
I'm
I
understanding
wasn't saying,
him.
I think there's probably groups out there or, you know, event planning companies or audio visual, someone that does, they books gigs. If they put a bid in, say for $10,000 to manage events going into the space, then you hope that, yeah, they can return enough to pay for that 10,000.
Well, the problem with that, and I agree with that, but the problem with that is this building requires so much attention to get it to a spot where someone is going to be willing to pay 10 grand for that place for whatever event. And the fact is, we don't also own any of the surrounding land, so parking is gonna be an issue. There's no kitchen, which is an issue, especially if you've got a wedding. If we can solve a couple of those, and I know that this is out of the box, but I know Bodette wants to sell her place. So are we in for a penny or pound or
No, I
not?
think it is sold.
I haven't seen anything yet, but
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
they've had people on the hook, but I haven't seen anything come through yet.
One of the, yeah, what I
but
was
you-
telling
you-
you earlier about some of the
You
stuff.
don't want any more property though down at that.
I
Flood- that
I
flood
don't
area.
think, it's been a while since I've talked to him, but I don't think that you can utilize anything upstairs or create a kitchen. Otherwise, you're talking about having to fully sprinkle the building.
But like from my side, caterers don't require a kitchen anymore. They're all,
You bring everything.
yeah, they're pretty hands off on requiring kitchens nowadays.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're limited
Which
in
is
the
fine.
catering.
Remember, that's the
Department
only,
is part
that's
of
the only
that.
storage you have for chairs on that floor too.
Well,
If you're gonna move furniture around, that's.
I would also suggest that if somebody did show up to it and say, that's a grand old building, would love to buy it. I think you should seriously consider it. I'm very serious. I mean,
I think that might take a town meeting.
these things become huge maintenance issues. And it's not gonna go away. It's gonna continue.
It's a huge
It'll
money
be,
pit.
it's
right now.
forever. All right, and see, we did it too with the lodge, saying it drains you. And it's just, it's just getting a plane painted these days is thousands, tens of thousands of dollars.
Mhm.
All right, so, I don't know, it's just something that, is it used enough? Well, it maybe at one time it was.
Oh, yeah.
You know, in
It
the
was-
schools, did it.
It's slowly fading.
When Peaches was, of course, you don't remember Peaches, but
I
she.
do remember Peaches.
Okay, well,
She taught at
Peaches-
the school for a little bit, not that long ago.
Well, she ran quite a program down here. She ran a great program for the kids in the summertime.
Didn't they have something there called summer squash? they used to do?
Summer squash,
That
that
was
was,
Walter J. Skominski. Summer
What?
squash. Summer squash?
Ski.
Yeah, Walter J.
I
Skominski.
remember him from, that.
And the guy that's the butcher over here at
Same
Shaw's,
guy.
Bobby Zeman.
Bob Seaman was summer
Bring it
squash.
back around.
Summer squash, Bob
Bring it
Zeman.
back around.
Eric, what was Eric's
I
last
need
name?
like some rubber bands.
Eric lived on the bottom of Man
Bring
Road.
them back.
His
Rubber
wife,
bands to shoot.
Yeah, bring them back around.
Oh,
Just tell him,
Swanson.
moving on.
yeah, Eric Swanson, that was summer squash.
Moving on.
Got the Wayback Machine out.
Well, of course, we had Dan Facilla too.
Yeah,
And Facilla is the one that used to generate more of the rent
he's still there
than any
though.
of the group.
He's still
Well,
around.
he left here because,
He's
Yeah,
with
he got
MH
pushed out.
He's
He
with
got
Center
pushed
for
out.
the Arts. He's
Yeah.
in Dover.
But yes, I'd like to see it just maybe brought onto an agenda, like, for instance, my wife doesn't do very many of these properties anymore, but she used to manage Shea News. So she was paid an annual fee and they paid all the subscriptions. And her job was to get people into the building, right? And then they signed, and that was different. That's an event based, so she got commission, but we need someone like, I know there's been Maura Hall has been, like Ian Campbell does that. There's gotta be some agencies, people that do it on a bigger scale, but looking for a small side project, just to get some warm bodies into the place. Like, I had no idea, we were talking about it, we've been talking about doing something at the end for a movie night, but then it's all rain delay, but I had no idea there's projection screen.
Yeah, they used to play movies in there every
Yeah.
Friday or Saturday night or something like that
So, yeah,
at one point.
just food
The
food for
library, I
thought.
think the library used to do it, didn't they?
The library kind of does it now, and they
Well, you're
aim it
talking
right at
years ago,
the old church
the
building.
Friends bought this new big projector screen in there that stays up all the time. It's just a flex.
Well, before
Walk
that,
over.
that used to be, I mean, they used to do it.
Hey,
I've been
so,
there a bunch of times.
The
So-
library would not have the rights to play anything off premise.
I thought they were using that though for something like that.
Currently, whatever they're.
I think Allison did movie nights on the lawn,
Oh.
in her lawn.
Cannot be used off premise.
so who are the Friends? This is the new group, because I know the old group.
I don't know everybody. I know Barbara Lipstad, John Iverson, Ian Campbell, Patrice Schneider.
I think Gretchen goes to it sometimes.
She's
yeah.
helping them. I don't think she's on
She's not a
their,
mem- she's not a
on their
member, but
committee.
She has been advising.
I'm not sure who else is on it right now, but those few that I do know.
It's
'cause
like
they've recently
one of
been in
the staff or
contact.
something in the league.
All right, well, I know Alice was on it for a long time.
Yeah, Alice is gone.
Yeah, but she's back. She keeps popping into town. I'm not sure what the deal is.
I
with
haven't
that.
seen her, but she's done with all of that.
Okay, all right,
Um,
that's,
Yeah, they had Hope, can't remember her last name off the top of my head.
Okay,
right
I
this
just-
second, but she's gone.
I think we certainly have to know who's involved and who has the key and who's in. and
No
out
one
of
has
the place.
keys.
Oh, good.
We
that's
don't
even
have
better.
to know who's involved. No one has keys.
Okay, all right.
The
Well,
key's in a
that's good.
lockbox. I change it every time someone's done
No
because
one should.
Well,
people
I'm-
were going in and touching things they shouldn't have, and I was.
I do agree with you, though. We should have what were you calling, keyless
Keyless
entry?
entry.
I think we ought to upgrade to that at the very least. So
Well,
it maintains a little bit more
I-
control.
I-
over who
I-
actually
I
does get
will-
in there.
I will throw out to one incident that we had here a couple of years ago. But they insisted on having a Memorial Hall for their service or whatever the hell they were doing.
Yes.
And very shortly thereafter, probably that following week, we got a list of what's wrong with that thing from attendees. And they were right in your face, and that cost us money.
Cost
And,
us
and,
like,
you know, and that's
$10,000.
why I'm so frustrated with the building, that this is what you go through today.
yes.
And, you know, we don't want slip and falls. We don't want people suing us because the building is fairly ragtag right now. It really is.
Yes. I opened it early for that service and gave it to them free of charge for
Yeah,
that
no,
service.
and
The
that's,
people
and
going
that's the
into
thanks.
help
And that's the thanks you get. So,
Investigated, and that's what we got for it.
Should make them sign it as.
well, no, they were down in the
Waiver of
basement.
some form, yeah.
They were in the basement. I mean, it was just ridiculous, the whole thing.
Yes.
We hired an
And,
engineer.
It
and what
really
was
got
meant-
bad.
And what was meant to be temporary, where they would take
Is
it
now
in, bring it
permanent.
out and
Well,
take it in and out. We'd agreed that it was not permanent when, who was there, Joe? Well.
Well, it's a
no, who
wings
was-
thing.
Yeah, who was the guy that was who died there? Who was-
Andy.
Andy
Andy
and Joe
Hardy.
at the time, Levy, had agreed on how that would
Yeah.
operate, so it wouldn't interfere with anybody. But now, we brought in an engineer, it is now permanent. It's a permanent structure on the station. That's where-
well, anyway, all right, it's the whole ball of wax, I think, has to be discussed at some point.
Yes.
Yes, yeah, I agree with Charlie. You have to have somebody to run it for us. But you know, we
Agreed.
have to have something for them to run too. It has to be a safe building. It has to be something that's not gonna cause
Well, the
all kinds
building
of
is
problems.
safe.
Well,
You
gee,
know, I
that's
would-
not
I
what,
would-
that's not what our attendees
I
said,
would
you know
not
what the
say
hell?
that the building is unsafe.
Oh,
there is
I
a
didn't
lot
say
of-
it's unsafe either,
There's a
okay?
lot of work that needs to be done, and we recognize that, and I think, quite frankly, COVID got in our way.
Right.
Things that we wanted to do and needed to do, and
Yeah, things have definitely piled up and
Well-
it shows, but it's not unsafe, but it needs,
It needs attention.
needs a facelift for
needs-
sure.
It needs some.
I kind of thought we were trying to make it look like the building's right across the street.
Well, it already does, so.
Man.
Just a quick question,
Can
and I don't
continue
know
the
how this interacts with the historic aspect, because we didn't really talk about too much. Was solar,
What?
would you be able to put solar on the roof or in another way?
Not panels.
No, No,
No,
no.
and
No, but I
believe they're
did-
limited in the historic district.
Yeah, of course.
If I'm not mistaken.
They
Handcuffed and hog
they may change it at some point, though, who knows? It's gonna.
I didn't know if there was any kind of exceptions, for instance, getting rid of the windows because of the flood issues. If the flooding, if there are no windows for the water to go in, well, then it's not gonna be a problem.
No, that's not exactly the way it works according to Stevens. So remember, you may not remember, when the building in its original form allowed water to flow through the wood, okay?
Sure.
This is what Bob Stevens told me. When they insulated the basements, that envelope now became what you're saying, solid. And it would make sense that would, that would keep water out in some manner, but what actually happens is the pressure from the water as it rises would actually encourage a collapse, is what Stevens is saying, which is the reason why we're putting the vents in to counteract the insulation. That it, all well-meaning, it was all done well-meaning, but not understanding the architectural nature of the building and the way it allowed water to flow in and flow out in the first place. But once you put insulation in there, now you've sealed up that whole envelope, and there's no place for the water to go, so it creates collapse. So that's why the vent will allow water in. And the venting, and at the same time, remember, we're securing the building to the floor because it just sits there now.
Stick it on pontoons.
So that this is a bit of an engineering thing. I mean, when I first heard about it, I thought, oh, pretty simple. Poke some holes in the wall, put in some vents, we're done. No. No, this is an engineering feat, I would say.
Yeah.
When we were having the discussions about Dots, after Dots was destroyed by Irene, we met with the FEMA folks and the National Flood Bureau. They're sitting there, what they wanted them to do was put a hole at one end on the basement. Okay, or the cellar, whatever you want to call it, and put a hole on this end here just for the bridge. So it flows in and it flows out. It's kind of like sitting in a wooden boat and making a hole in it to drain the water out that's been accumulated.
Oh, yeah.
So instead, what they did, Dots opted, they didn't want, and I don't blame them, they didn't want that, rushing through their
That would be stupid.
so they have a very elaborate pumping system. It was very expensive to do this, and the only reason you did it that way was otherwise their health insurance went from like their flood insurance went from $5,500 a year to $52,000 a year. And nobody can do that. That puts you out of business. And that's why a lot of the places for Sandy down on the New Jersey coast haven't been dealt with. But in the same light, so what they did, they came up with a system, they had the engineering done, and it dropped the rate. It dropped the rate considerably from what they had prior to that. So the way they have it set up right now, it's very favorable to the National Flood folks. But it was expensive. Damn, it was expensive. And of course, the historical folks would not allow them to take down the building and build a new one. They had to cut it in half, and which is crazy.
Yeah, they had to use
So,
cranes.
Yeah, but which that just jacked the price up. It was ridiculous. That just jacked the price up. Anyway, that's. But
Well, it
Memorial
sounds
Hall
like
is a challenge.
Memorial Hall
It
is
is a
gonna be
challenge.
a comparable price.
So you want it on your agenda again?
But how are we going to deal with it? How would you?
We're gonna have- We're gonna have Tony fishing around for people who want to buy it.
I mean, we'll have to encourage some folks to come and talk.
Yeah,
How long from now do you want it? Next month, you want to, you mean in June, what do you want to do?
Let's wait till June. We have a ways to go yet here. It's going to be used for Memorial Day, right?
I would encourage other select board members to walk around the building or
Absolutely.
arrange a tour, get the top secret code. It's,
No, you need
Jessica.
someone to lead
Yeah.
you.
Yep.
You need Jess.
I did have one more other thing. Have we had any update from the highway department on the bridge? And
What
there,
bridge?
bridge right here.
This is bridge number 31.
Bridge 31, they've been doing a lot of repairs lately. Not everyone's social media will probably report it. Scott's probably aware of it. A couple weeks ago, there was a hole in number 31.
That's why they were
Yeah.
patching it
And the
the other
state
day.
comes out
That's
every
not the
couple
first
weeks
hole
to
either,
patch
by
it.
the way.
Yeah,
No, and it won't be the last.
Remember March, they were here in March, they were here in
The
April.
state doesn't give us updates.
They brought an inspector and we've not heard back from them, but evidently the brief understanding that the chief of police got, because he asked them before they left, was that's worse than we thought.
Well,
can we ask them to come give us an update?
Well, we are going to get one,
Oh,
because
okay.
remember the scoping study.
Yeah,
I have been in contact with
VHB.
VHB, and when I talked briefly, they did not know about what had happened, I think in March, and they were going to inquire further. But we're due a scoping study report, and that would be a presentation. So I can't tell you when, but it should be within the next month or two, is my best guess.
social media love that hole.
So, yeah, so
Okay.
you will be getting a presentation.
That's all I got.
All right, so Scott, let's,
Okay, tomorrow, the town of Wilmington has begun the plan update process for the local hazard mitigation plan. There's a community meeting tomorrow at 5 PM right here at 2 East Main Street in the meeting room. Light refreshments will be provided. This is a great opportunity to come together as a community to help update our local hazard mitigation plan. And our consultant, Stephanie Magnan, will be here. Light refreshments. I am in the process of trying to close out, and I wrote a final ARPA report. I filed it on April the 11th. And once I do that, I'm told there should be a closeout packet that will be sent to me at some point. So I believe I've done everything correctly on the final report. We'll see.
so we've already expended all of that, correct? The ARPA's done?
Yes.
Okay, no, that's good. That's good.
Yes. By resolution you did, yes.
We're not in the we're not in the same way the Massachusetts is on their ARPA funds, are we?
They still have money, right? Yeah.
No, they spent their money on salaries.
Yeah.
And they have been found that was in violation of the specific use of that money, and they want their money back. And it's
So I don't
hell of
know
a
the
lot of
answer.
money.
So I don't know the answer to your question. I can only tell you that we followed all the guidance from Vermont League of Cities and Towns.
So are they going to do individual audits on that, or is you doing a self
We're
audit?
under 10 million. I mean, we were a little more than $500,000. So
Okay.
it's pretty small. And that's the reason we took the under 10 million, you could take the standard deduction. It's kind of like IRS.
Okay,
And that's what we did. And we followed the guidelines, the guidance from Vermont League of Cities and Towns. So everything we did was with their guidance, and their guidance came from the feds at the time. Have the rules changed? I don't know, but we basically took care of everything the way
okay, all right, just,
that we were legally able to. The Chamber, Bethany Leclerc, is still with us part-time. As Charlie said, he's in the process of taking applicants for her job. The Chili Stroll had 400 attendees. That was on March the 28th. The total cost of the event was $14,202. And the town awarded the chamber for that event $6,875. Bethany said that they had a great event. Weather was mild and slightly overcast. There was a great turnout for attendees, breweries, restaurants, and community members. Everyone loved the expansive group in Memorial Hall. I mean, that's the other thing about Memorial Hall. Remember, if you're a resident, it costs you very little to utilize that space. And the space will accompany total 299 people.
well, it's a nice building. I just wish that the maintenance hadn't been deferred on the place quite so much. And I'm not talking you.
It's a wonderful gift.
I'm talking generational.
No, it's a wonderful,
Just like-
it's a wonderful gift.
Yeah, great, yeah.
Green Up Day, remember the fire truck that we're expecting was received at the end of March. They have it up and running. They were doing training last weekend. Green Up Day is May 3rd, which is the first Saturday in May. Kathy Larson and Anthony Martino. Kathy's and May 3rd between 9 and 11 a.m. So they're meeting at 9 a.m. or a little before at Buzzytown Park. So Kathy's message to you is that Green Up Day is May 3rd this year, always the first Saturday in May. This year is the state's 55th anniversary of Green Up. We will continue to use Buzzytown Park as our gathering place to greet volunteers and give out green up bags and route assignments. Anthony and I are meeting this week to plan the window display, starting to put up posters and planning our other publicity. Jessica and Therese always facilitate that. We always receive and appreciate the assistance of the road crew collecting the filled Green Up bags. They're amazing. Couldn't have Green Up without them. The cooperation of the folks at the landfill is another essential piece. They've always been fantastic as well. And one of the police officers usually makes a Sharps collection box available. And fortunately, we have not needed them in recent years. And if the select board has any suggestions for us, please let us know. And we can put you in contact with Kathy if you have suggestions. Okay. On October the 14th at 2 p.m., Fitzgerald Engineering, the engineer is Joe Bartlett, and the number of state folks met with Vince, Marshall, and myself to review the final stormwater master plan and conceptual designs. Deliverables are nearing completion and conceptual designs are in the neighborhood of 30%. And these are the 5 they call them projects that they would like to focus on. So one is the shopping center. Evidently, there's an existing stormwater pond that they want to improve. The highway garage, there's 3 projects around the highway garage to capture sediment and avoid seepage into the woods. And they would love to do that first. I just need to meet with Marshall and Jess a little bit. And we could go to final design. They have money for this. And then an implementation. Likely the grant would require some in kind. We would do some digging and things like that. And they would provide the materials and the expertise is probably what it's going to look like. At the public safety facility, they're looking to capture stormwater flowing down Beaver Street, which the year that they were here, there was considerable rain that year. And so they got to see where all the water went. And they said that there's a considerable amount going down Beaver Street. They think it's suitable for infiltration practices, a storm vault or septic style capture. And it has something to do with if the water table is deep, like 8 feet deep, there's a lot more options than if it's shallow, like 3 feet deep. At any rate, they understand that that's where the Veterans Park is going. I sent them the Veterans Park architectural drawings with the measurements and stuff. And so their concept will include that. And the Veterans Park is actually, if you are facing if you're standing on the trail that goes up next to the cemetery, there's a little trail that goes up into Gernald's property or what used to be. Yeah. Basically the cemetery would start there and move along Beaver Street. So it doesn't actually go the entire space down to where the stormwater drains are now. And that would be the area they're looking to create something to capture the water. Pond Loop at Chimney Hill, there's drainage issues, trout pond, likely 2 projects there is what they're looking at. And they would need a meeting with Chimney Hill. And then Lake Raponda access and Old Stage Road, there's some kind of a cross pipe there. They want to establish a settling pond. And evidently that's all in the town right away, because there's, in that general area, you've got fish and wildlife land too. But Marshall assures me that that's all town land there that they're talking about. Anything else?
No, that was about it. I don't think some of the stuff that they were talking about is gonna be feasible, but maybe the one over by the firehouse, I don't know how that one's gonna work. And the pond that's over behind the mobile station, that thing is not very big and it's a very narrow plot of land. How they're going to expand it or improve it is gonna be interesting. And it's not owned by the corporation that owns Shaw's or the property. It's somebody else. I think.
Was that Green, the Greens on that?
They did or they do, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so there's I forget exactly how many communities are doing, a lot of communities throughout Vermont. They're basically trying to identify about a handful
Mm.
of projects that they would like to work on in terms of how you handle stormwater runoff. Which
Well-
is similar to the kind of work that we do,
Yeah.
the highway does all year long, or in the summertime.
And that's fine, but I, like with that pond, you got it's sandwiched in between a road and the river. And there's not a heck of a lot to go beyond. But
So
whatever. Anyway.
talking about, it's only money. Marshall is keeping an eye.
Oh, wow.
Oh, boy.
Are we going to talk about Memorial Hall some more? then? Okay.
We have all kinds of things, projects where we have to spend money. So Marshall's keeping an eye on two bridges. One is on Steep Hill and the other is Lake Rapana Road at Higley Hill, I believe. These are bridges, these are not structures, they're not culverts.
The Lake Laponda Road, in fact, I believe a hole is opening in that right now, so.
Yeah.
I thought, I went over it not too long ago, and I went, my God, this is reminiscent of downtown.
So we had Cold River Bridge Company here that have done a fair amount of refurbishing for us on different bridges and whatnot. And so Marshall took them to see a couple of these bridges that he was concerned about. By the way, these two bridges, every 2 years, these bridges are inspected by the state and they're listed as good. But
Well, when this is the standard, I mean, come on.
so Marshall reached out to the state and asked them, you know, when they would be back to inspect. They're back this year, but not until fall. At any rate, after Cold River Bridge Company looked at it, now he wants the state to look at it and see what they think. But the cost to these bridges is going to be in the neighborhood, we think in the neighborhood of $750,000 to replace
Each.
each.
Yep. Okay.
Be $1 million by the time you get it done.
Well, that's, we ran into that already once, but.
And Marshall is thinking about looking for some money to see if there's grant money to create a asset management program for culvert structures and bridges, similar to the asset management plans that we've done in water and sewer. And so he's always thinking, which makes sense. Okay, I think we talked enough about Memorial Hall. Police Department, Vermont Leagues of Cities and Towns. So congratulations to Chief Matt Morano. The message from Vermont League of Cities and Towns is that they're writing to inform that his request for a scholarship award through the passive scholarship program has been approved. He has been awarded up to $500 for himself to attend the FBI LEDA CLI. It's a distinguished training for Command Leadership Institute put on by the FBI. Law enforcement education, something or another. $500 for Sergeant Andrew Kirkman to attend the FBI LEDA SLI, which is the Supervisor Leadership Institute. $500 for Corporal Joseph Karsich to attend the FBI Supervisor Leadership Institute. And $395 for Corporal Joseph Karsich to complete the Force Science Realistic De-escalation instructor course. So the amount awarded was $1,895. Everybody, all the department heads really keep their eye open for utilizing grants that are available to us, and Leagues has money that's available to us every year. And the way we go about it is, for instance, Usually, Matt has a project that, like this, like the training and stuff, where he can use the money for equipment or other things. And then we ask all the department heads if they have anything that they need that would fit into the particular grant. So everyone gets an opportunity to participate. No, that one will get us into trouble. I'm not telling you about that one.
More money.
All right, the AMP asset management plan that Water completed, we were at 100% complete, but there's a few questions. A&E, Aldrich and Elliott was the engineering firm that helped us with that. And so they have a couple of questions yet to answer for the A&R DEC Drinking Water and Ground Protection Division. But we should be closing that up with a complete report soon, I hope. Okay, so for the Route 9 East Infrastructure Project, sewer and water, where the final design, I think, is essentially complete, or just about, and we should be getting into construction documents. But in the meantime, there's an archaeological work. There's 5 to 6 sites that they'll be poking around on the route that they've identified last fall. And so they have to dig some sites, looking for artifacts and that sort of thing, where they've previously identified there's a possibility of that. And they have to go through a whole process of sifting soils and all that business. They will probably be on the road in May. And other than that, legal is working, continuing to work on the BCA decision with Elizabeth Lacombe Revocable Trust. Everything else I have for you is an executive session under employment.
Okay. We're going to go into executive session here, folks.
Thanks for coming.
Everyone sign the sign-in sheet. Thank you. Please, I owe you an email. I'll write back later.
Okay.
I don't have any photos. I'll look around, but I don't think so.
Joe, come on.
I would love these common photos.
Thank you, Trace. Yeah, that'd be fine. Thank you.
You're leaving Jess in here, are we?
No,
Not until you make the motion. I can't leave.
Okay, I move that Jess get the hell out. How's that?
Jessica said.
I move that premature general public knowledge of employee situation would place the town at substantial disadvantage. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. I move to enter into executive session under 1 VSA 313 to include the town manager to discuss employee situations. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Now, we're almost in executive session.
Motion to adjourn.
All right.
Second.
We have come out of executive session with no motions at this point, Scott?
that's correct.
Okay. All right. So with that in mind, if no one else has anything for the good of Wilmington, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All right. Second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Nice talking to you, gentlemen. Have a good day.